What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Mario Kart 9 will release in 2020. Now, we've had this discussion kind of before. We've talked about, when will this game be announced? When will this game release? And we've also talked about the lack of it being announced this year in terms of they've had a couple opportunities where they could have announced Mario Kart 9. Now, I'm not mad that they didn't, or I didn't really fully expect. It was just kind of a fun thing being like, hey, you know what? We talk about so many games on this channel. We talk about so many, like, will we get the sequels for them, and when will these things be announced? And I oftentimes do forget some of the Nintendo exclusives and Nintendo sequels that they could very easily have. And really, I've talked about it a lot. I think 2019 was the year of Nintendo. Now, we got a really strong ending of this year with Death Stranding, with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I truly believe that. I love those two games. We also had Pokemon, which is a phenomenal game to kind of cap off, again, a phenomenal year for Nintendo with games, again, like Super Mario Maker 2, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. We had Fire Emblem, and then Pokemon. I'm probably missing quite a few as well. So many games. Nintendo had a really amazing 2019, and really, they did lean on some of their more heavy exclusives, and, Pokemon obviously is a major Nintendo name that bringing it back, it's like, okay, this is big. But, last year we had Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a few years back before then, obviously Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and The Legend of Zelda, so, and we had Mario Maker 2, and it's been a while even since we've had a main Mario game as well, so it's like, they had a phenomenal 2019, and they really didn't even have to use their biggest guns. Now, again, you could argue, well, they used Pokemon. That's a huge one. I'd agree. I'd say they used a little bit, but they have so much more in their arsenal. And why am I telling a long story like this is basically because I think 2020 is kind of that year. When you look at things from Nintendo's point of view, whether or not they're going to have like that Switch 1.5 or like a brand new Switch model entirely that's really going to take it to the next level, next year is that time where we're going to get Xbox Scarlet and PS5. And yes, Nintendo Switch has sold amazing. I have a Nintendo Switch. I bought one last year. I think it's a phenomenal console in general. And the system, again, is selling very well, outselling a lot of the other ones and kind of outselling them like year to date as well. So like it's doing really well. It's also outselling them like currently, but it's to be expected, right? Because the people that have their Xbox and their PlayStation should already have it, right? They're not going to be buying it now. Now, the problem with next year is, a lot of people are going to be buying their next generation, and I could foresee Nintendo kind of falling quite a bit next year. Probably not the first half, but the second half around Black Friday. I think I would personally, honestly, like expect and wage a bet that like PlayStation's gonna win. It's gonna sell the most copies. It's gonna be in the top of the NPD charts, and that's not a bad thing. But again, why am I saying this? Well, Nintendo has a lot of things up their sleeve. They have a ton of aces. They have more aces than actually is a deck of cards. There's been a lot of talk that the Legend of Zelda game, could that be in 2020? That's huge. That's a game changer. That's a massive thing that I had predicted we were going to get that at E3, that they were going to announce it, but I kind of just like thought it up as like a fun video idea. I didn't fully, I even said like I wouldn't be surprised if it's not. I don't think that it's like stuff like that, and they did it. They actually announced it. So you have that, but I really do think that if you went into next year, and again, it's been quite a while. I mean, by 2020, it'll have been 3 years since Legend of Zelda. It'll also be 3 years since a Mario Kart game. Now, I know Mario Kart Tour, like the mobile game, I'm not counting that. I think that's a different group making it anyway, and the mobile department and all that kind of stuff. So it's been 3 years since Legend of Zelda. It's been 3 years since Mario Kart. It's also by the fall of 2020, it's been 3 years since the last Mario game, Mario Odyssey. So next year really could, like 3 years is enough time. 3 years is kind of what you would expect and hope for most of your actual studios. I know Sony, Microsoft, they would look to that the same way to kind of pump out their next game. Now, you don't force it. If a game needs to be delayed or a game just is not ready, then obviously you just let that happen. But next year, very well. I think two of the three happen. I don't necessarily think we will get a new Mario game, like a mainstay on like Odyssey or Galaxy, like those kind of games. We're not going to, I feel like, I don't know if they can do that, but I would not be surprised whatsoever if 2020, we said at the end of the year with Nintendo, like, hey, we had Mario Kart and we also had Legend of Zelda, and that would be quite a phenomenal year. And most times they don't have that many of those big games. Now, again, like you could argue this year was Pokemon and Mario Maker. Maybe those would be like the top two. And Mario Maker is a massive game and a really phenomenal game, but I don't think it holds the same power. Mario Kart, I believe, is the highest selling Switch game ever. power. So it doesn't have the power of that. Legend of Zelda, I don't think that is like in the top like high percent of games sold on the Switch. I think it is a very high selling game, but it's the name. It's the quality you kind of expect and you know you're going to get from that kind of game. So that's a big one as well, that you say, hey, we're having a new Legend of Zelda. So I do think 2020 is the year. I think, I believe from when I'm recording this, my hope is that this video goes up the day of the Game Awards. I don't think it's going to be announced tonight. Maybe there's been a rumor that it is, and maybe it will get announced, but I see this more as a thing in the first half of 2020. If you wait till E3, then it's like, okay, well, then this game come out in the fall of 2020 with the next generation consoles, and it's going to be, I feel like the Switch does need to have that game, that system selling game, right, for the fall, because it's going to need something to compete with next generation. It kind of sucks, especially like for me or a lot of people. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if you have the Switch, because if you have next gen, you're going to be buying the next generation consoles, right? Because I just said that. And also, you're probably going to want a few games for it, right? So you're going to be doing that. Are you going to be able to buy, say, 2 to 3 games, maybe more, maybe less, for your next generation console, because you need something to play on it? And then are you also going to buy that Switch exclusive that also comes out around the same time, because for them to compete? That's going to be really tough, and I'm not saying they're going to send it out to its demise, right? That the game just isn't going to sell, but it's going to be hard for people to buy those games, and that is definitely a realistic thing that does happen. In a kind of like a selfish way, I would hope that the Mario Kart 9 is not that game. I actually would prefer Mario Kart over Legend of Zelda, but that's just my opinion. You guys could totally have a different one. I would like this game out in the first half of 2020, and honestly, in order to do that, we need the announcement relatively soon. Game Awards is a really nice spot. If Jeff Keighley wants to kind of give one to Nintendo, they could do that. Or again, I mean, it's a big enough game. Nintendo is a big enough company. Mario Kart is a big enough name. This could totally be a thing that you just announce in the first couple months of 2020 on your own, and you say, hey, it's coming out like in and you know what? Another thing is they're not afraid of releasing games in the summer, which I love. I absolutely love that. Releasing Mario Maker 2, I believe that was June 28th because it was my birthday. They're not afraid. Late June, Crash Team Racing came out around that time, and then all throughout July, you had Fire Emblem and Marvel Ultimate Alliance come out in the middle to end of July, and those games sold very, very well, and those games are, again, like those games aren't the biggest games in the world. They're kind of medium tier, I'd say. And also the fact that it came out in the most dead month, that you just don't release games normally in July, and they did it. So what I'm saying is they are not really afraid of that. So you know what? If it doesn't get announced within the first little while, it still wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that this game could be a July or August game. So I do expect this game. I think this game is coming in 2020. I think it's going to help the Switch out big time, really big time, because again, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I believe, is the highest selling Switch game. Having a Mario Kart 9, a lot of people are going to be playing it. A lot of new people are going to be buying the Switch. That'll definitely help them against next gen. And to be honest, I feel like that is part of their game plan and something that just generally they need to be looking out for. Starting years ago, I think they need to be getting ready, and I do think they are getting ready. So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think we're getting Mario Kart 9 in 2020? Do you think it's going to be, maybe it's later, maybe it's 2021? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up, and thank you as always for watching. I hope to talk more about Mario Kart in the future, especially if the game, or when the game does get announced. I hope to see you guys there. Hey guys, firstly, thank you so much for getting to this far, this at the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. I do want to quickly remind you guys, we are doing a community event on December 21st. It is the Saturday. It's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. If you guys want to play with us, we have the video up on the channel. Make sure you guys go watch that video and leave in the comments that you want to play with us. It's also a live stream event, so you guys just want to kind of swing by, watch us play the game, have some fun right before Christmas. It's going to be an absolute blast, and I hope to see you guys there.